This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's Partnership Coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, John Driscoll from Naked Development. Thank you so much for coming on me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Shannon. Very excited.
Thank you. Alrighty, so could you just start by telling us a little bit about you, your work, and how you got to this point in your career, how Naked Development blossomed into this beautiful agency?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I didn't come through the agency route. I originally, my first startup was a financial company, and I started that in 1999 and sold it around '06. I had my exit, and then I was kind of bumping around trying to figure it out. I loved technology. I loved, kind of seeing trends and where they were going. And I was good at marketing. And so that was kind of what I had to work with. And then the iPhone came out 2007. And then March 2008 was my big day. The App Store was released and I could sign up as an app developer that day. And I was just blown away by the possibilities of what we could build onto these amazing phones that we had now. And so I signed up $99, gave it to Steve Jobs, and they gave me the ability to do that. I didn't know how to code. I didn't have really any of the capabilities, but I hired people to do it. I taught myself a lot of things, and it was a crazy journey. We started kind of doing stuff for big companies at first. And then as time went on, we really found our DNA was really in startups. And that's kind of where we've sat for the last 10 to 12 years. Yeah.
Awesome. So, well, one, that's incredible because that's definitely a big switch. A lot of people start in the agencies and are in a startup agency and then kind of work their way up to making their own or whatever. So it's really cool that you were able to do that. And also find something that you're interested in that you had no experience in. That's really
I'm a
cool.
little dumb like that, Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah, but it worked out. I always say dumb decisions are dumb if they work out.
I always say I'm stubborn enough that I just won't give up until I figure it out. That's kind of really
That's good.
who I am.
Really, I don't think that's a bad thing. As long as you're doing what makes you happy,
Yeah,
that's
for
awesome.
sure.
And being able to teach yourself something is a big part of marketing. I feel like that's a lot of marketing.
It is. It's always changing. It's never the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you say that your target audience kind of is startups now, that's like your bread and butter, do you mean developing apps for these startups? Okay. So what is kind of the process of that? I'm assuming most of them come to you with no idea, or maybe they're just like, kind of recreate my website kind of thing. How does that work?
Yeah, I think most people, I think almost everybody has an app idea or a startup idea inside. And what they're trying to do is try to figure out, what do I do with this thing I want to do? And people come to us exactly like that. They haven't worked on anything. They haven't, really done anything most of the time. I'd say about 90% of the time. And they just really have this idea and they're looking for somebody to help them launch it. And that's kind of what Naked is built to do. And over the years, we've just really we've seen all the needs that a founder like that would have. And we've done all this work to try to provide for all of those needs, not just designing it, not just, consulting on figuring it out, but developing it, helping to fund it, to teaching you how to be a founder, teaching you how to market it, all of those things. And that's why now we're kind of more of an ecosystem than a company nowadays. But yeah, so people come, we get about 200 inquiries a month, people every day. Not to mention people just attending my free classes all the time. So we have hundreds and hundreds of people trying to get into the program, and it's the Naked Accelerator program. And people kind of apply to get in there, and we approve about 12% of the ideas that come to us. And those 12% really get a ton of support.
Oh. What is your kind of vetting process for this? Is it just something that you are excited about, or is it something that, I don't know, do you have some kind of niche where you think you're better at working with certain
Yeah.
companies?
Yeah, we don't do games, but I would say any other app other than games, we are product wise, we're not that specific. Unless we don't feel like there's a market for it. That's a different thing. I think we're more concerned about the founder and what kind of expectations that founder has for what I call the founder's journey is going to look like. And so I feel like some founders are kind of pie in the sky on how they think that's going to go. And then we have some realistic founders who really are like, they're really set and understand what it's going to take to get to the finish line. And so we really look for those people that have the right expectations for where they're trying to go. And they really just need the assistance. They need the expertise. And we feel like those kind of people we can do a lot with. So I would say we're very, very founder focused.
Okay. Do you think that that is something that helps you kind of make sure there's not a personality clash? I know that sounds kind of weird, but I know that
No.
a lot of people vet their clients based off of how they think they're going to work with them. And so being founder focused, you can kind of guarantee, at least maybe not guarantee because you never really know how someone's going to be, but
Yeah.
you can kind of make sure that that's the right person that you want to work with.
Yeah. We have 6 personas when they go through the interview process. And there's 2 interviews, and then they get to me, and I approve every founder and every idea still. So yeah, I would say yes. It does have a little bit to do with how it would be to work with us, but I think it's more like we want to work with people that we think can get to the finish line, right?
So they have
So,
the stamina, the momentum, the inspiration.
yeah, like, they know how to bring people together. They're teachable, but they're also really, know what they want. I think it's a combination of all of those things. And I think we've seen the pattern of the founders that make it, and we kind of look and go, all right, that one
You know what to look
we
for.
know is going to probably get there. And so we want to be there and kind of just provide all the things that they're going to need to get, to be successful, really.
That's great. I mean, that ensures your success. For you ever take on, a troublesome, a scarier, intimidating kind of client where you're like, oh, this is a challenge. We're excited for this, even though we're not really sure how it's gonna work.
Sometimes I think if it's product concerns, that's fine. I feel like we can pivot out of those, and kind of discover it. I think I've learned, and I think this is probably one of the biggest agency problems, is trying to, you get desperate. Maybe you need a sale, and then you make this exception that you think is going to be great. And then that exception turns to bite you in the butt. And I think, if anything, I've learned to try not to do that anymore. If it gets past me, I missed it. It's not that I saw it and I made the exception. I think nowadays I know those clients are just more trouble than they're worth. And it's not that they're bad people, they're just a bad fit, right? I'm not saying they won't be successful. I'm not saying any of those things. They're just personality wise, maybe a bad fit for what we have to offer. We're not, I think every agency has to be specific, and you have to go, hey, this is who we're looking for. And if you aren't doing that, I guarantee, I know everybody says this, and agency founders really struggle with this, but you have to be specific. You have to be selective. And if you don't do that, you're going to find yourself out of business. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely, I've talked to startup agencies. I've talked to, agencies really far along in their process. And I think that a lot of times I'll ask, especially, someone like you that has started an agency that has been successful thus far. Um, I like to ask, what would you have told yourself,
Oh,
from the beginning?
yeah.
Um, now that you know what you know. And I think a lot of people say something along the lines of know your worth. Like, be, yes, it's understandable that startups need to accept a lot more than they want, because they need to make money and they need to, kickstart their business, have evidence that they're good at what they do. Um, but I think sometimes that could be at a detriment when you're taking on too much, that maybe just might not be too much like workload wise, but too much like you're you're not showing you the best of your work because you're choosing clients that wouldn't work for you down the line or now.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I think that's universally just something where know your worth. Don't overestimate your worth. I think that's also a
Mhm.
bad thing, right? Like there's a lot of people doing that too. They just think they're valuable because they say they're valuable. You're valuable when people find that you're valuable. And if you find that people really do appreciate what you do, then make sure that only people who appreciate what you do get your attention. And I think universally that's true in life and in agency. I think it's true, period. When you give your attention to people that really want it and really value it, then you tend to get like a lot of returns. When you don't and you try to get people to like you or you're trying to be all things to all people and all these things, oh man, that is a trap that just leads to a lot of bad things. Like I said, in life and in agency for sure.
Yeah, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, you know what it is? Some people, I have this thing, like, it's kind of a dating principle for me. If I go on a date and I feel tired at the end of the conversation,
Uh-huh.
like drained, I'm like, that's not somebody I can have in my life.
That's
Period.
not it.
Yeah.
My boss loves to relate marketing to dating. It's like his favorite thing to do. It
Oh,
really is a fitting thing to
it
do.
is so fitting. It is. I always use all these dating analogies, and I think people think I'm crazy, but I do that because they are very similar. It has everything to do with providing value. It has everything to do with knowing your value. Like all of those kinds of things. It's relationships are an exchange of value. All relationships. And we don't like to think of them that way. "Oh, I just want to be loved for me," but that's not how it works, folks. Like you are loved for who you are, but also what you bring to someone's life. And I think that that's true for you and for them. And so there's no problem with that. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean somebody's using you. We all kind of use each other a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Like a
I
little
don't
bit. It's okay. It's
It's
okay.
not bad. That's kind of human interaction. Like, I think
There you go.
humans are inherently, and this is gonna sound bad, but I don't believe it as a negative thing. I think
I
humans
agree.
are inherently selfish. Even if
Yeah.
they are looking out for their fellow human, that makes them feel good, and
Yeah.
therefore that is selfish. Um, and I don't think that I get into debates with people about this concept all the time because I don't think it's bad to be selfish. I think that there is greed, which is
Yeah.
different than being selfish necessarily. But dating specifically, and it's so funny because my boss says stuff like this all the time. But there's a lot of things that I've genuinely learned through marketing that have helped in my dating life. Like
Yep.
it's actually and knowing your value is extremely like a
Big one.
huge part of that.
Yeah.
Is you have to be able to click with someone in a way that that you can work with them. Like
Yeah.
it's
Like, think
it's
about, like,
real.
don't chase, don't be desperate,
Mhm.
know your value. Are we talking about dating or marketing?
Exactly. It's it's
Yeah.
unbelievable, but all
You're
the
really
parallels are
marketing
there.
yourself. Yeah, you're marketing yourself, and the more desperate you are, that does not work out well. The
Yeah.
more, the more you chase people, the more, like, if I was to, like, email a client back 5 times today, that would work about as well as it does with dating.
Oh, yes. In your face marketing makes me wanna
Yeah.
die. It
Right.
makes me wanna never ever use your product ever again.
Yeah.
It's the worst too because sometimes they do it in a way that just works, but the
Hmm.
ones that don't do it in the way that it works, I don't want to ever see their product ever again.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to, I don't know, I want to just find a delete all button and never have them show up on my feed or
yeah.
anything ever again. And that's, yeah, that's probably dating too. It's like, let me block them on everything because I don't want to see their face ever again. It's horrible dating.
Yeah, I think it's very much about, hey, can I bring value to the marketplace, even in a free setting? Like here, this is a good example of this podcast, right? You get people like me and all that to come on, and you're providing this value to people, and people go, oh, wow, that's really neat. Oh, wow, what is that? What do they do? Right? Like that
Mhm.
connection to providing value is how you get people's attention. And that's what people really need to do is they got to go, what can I give away for free on a
Yeah.
regular basis that gets me a regular amount of traffic, And that's why I started my 5-day course for free is because that was a lot of founders didn't have access to my content and stuff like that. And I was like, well, gosh, I turned down 88% of all people that come to me. What if I gave them something, you know? And that was kind of, how we started that. We were just like, oh, let's contribute. Let's help the community.
No, yeah, doing something like that is extremely helpful. And even that's the reason that we do this is to create a knowledge base for our customers. Yes, it's you always get something out of it, of course. I mean,
Sure.
it's really nice that people know about us. Everyone that comes on the podcast, if they didn't previously know about us, now they do. That's awesome to have other marketers, agencies have you in the back of their mind. That's always wonderful. And that's something that is great that comes out of it. But the first thing that was in our mind when creating something like this was, and we actually had brainstormed a lot of different ideas of creating some kind of knowledge base. And there was like, oh, let's create some kind of book or some kind of
Yeah.
newsletter that we send out a certain amount of times. And we're like, people are going to read that. People are going to take their time out of their day to do something like that. It's really helpful. Video is something that's great, and it's also a way to be personal to
Yep.
people, or personable to people, and get to know them. And yeah, it's just a really nice thing to be able to do. It. I love doing it.
Yeah.
The fact that
No,
this is
it's fun.
just, yeah, it's fun, and
Right.
be able to meet people. I get to learn things every day. I get to learn more marketing. They don't. Everyone thinks it's for the customers, but I learn new things every day, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And everyone's different. Everyone does things differently. And I think that's such a beautiful thing about agency work generally, but marketing specifically. Um, it's
Yep.
just a really lovely space to be in. And it's
Yeah.
also maybe a lot less pessimistic about marketing or the corporate world because a lot of people are super optimistic about it and what influences them and different inspirations that they get outside of just
Hmm.
marketing, because marketing is everywhere. I've had people that get influence from celebrity come ups,
Yeah.
from, literally anything. And I think that's so fun. There's so
Yeah.
many avenues of marketing that you can get influence from. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah. No, you get to learn from other people. It's great. Yeah.
Learning from other people is my favorite thing. So speaking of, this is one of my, I think, favorite questions. Sometimes, people don't have a set answer, so if you're not ready, it's okay. Um, but do you, what do you think is the best marketing advice that you've received from someone outside of the marketing space?
Ooh, outside of the marketing space. Um, Best advice outside of the marketing space. That's a really tough question. I'm trying to think of any advice I've gotten outside of the marketing space. I think just, it's really interesting to see people's perception of your company. Um, and when you understand that the way that they see what you do, or even understand by looking at your website or whatever, and you go, wow, they seem confused. I think listening to that instead of being defensive about it and going, well, we did this for this reason, it's like, well, they didn't understand. You have to take responsibility for your communication on how well you're communicating. So sometimes I've had people come to my website or something like that, and they've been confused. And that has helped me really simplify down what we say and how we say it. in ways, whether it be, how we define our agency. I think that that's a really tough thing when we say, we make app, are we an app dev shop, as people say, or are we an agency, or how do you define yourself as an organization? And I think trying to say too many things is confusing. So you might have 4 things that you do, but you don't have to say them. It's like, how do people come to you? So like, Starbucks is a coffee shop, as we would say, but nobody would go, well, they're just a coffee shop. They don't serve food. We know they serve food, right? Like, so they don't have to put food in the title. So I think saying less sometimes and just being more clear. So, one of the things we do and put exercise through is make people be able to say what they do in 3 words or less. And I feel like if you're trying to say it with more than that, you're going to confuse people. So you're forced to just omit things because of the communication style. And so I will meet strangers and they'll go, what do you do? And I'll explain it or whatever. And yeah, we're a marketing firm. We're all these other things. We're a VC. We're all those things, but we just don't say any of that. It's not important because people know us as we make apps. That's what we do. That's that. It's that simple. And so we kind of don't say more than that, even though we're so much more than that. But I think you just have to be okay with just that simple message. And I think people outside of our space have really taught me that a lot. Yeah.
No, I definitely resonate with that. And I think that getting out of, I think one of the first things that you said, getting out of your head of being defensive about, something that you've created or have had people create for you in your vision, is really hard sometimes for people to do, but it's also really important because I think a lot of people don't realize, or, they do, but they don't really think about it, is that you are like, you have a service or a product that you want people to want. And if it's confusing or difficult to understand what you do or why you do it or whatever people want to know, you're not going to get as many people interested in using that. And if you want to create something a specific way, but it doesn't do that, then maybe your vision isn't, what's going to make your business profitable.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Some people are really excited about their vision and how they want to do things. And, there's some people who are stubborn, maybe you, but that have a specific vision for something. And maybe at first the clientele isn't there, but, they keep working on it. And, maybe it is just like a niche population or something like that they're looking for. And that's fine too. But I think that something that people don't consider enough is being client focused, is that you have to take feedback constantly to be able to make people happy. And of course, you don't have to be nitpicky. You don't have to create, you tweak every little thing because that is nightmarish. But to be able to listen to what people want and be able to execute that is so unbelievably important for your success.
Yeah, it's really interesting that people look for validation from everybody but who they should really be looking for it from. Like they'll look for, oh, my family thinks this is great. They'll ask me what I think. And my answer is always like, it doesn't matter what I think. It really doesn't. Like it matters. What does the market think? You need to be looking for the market's validation, and the market clicks for validation. It buys for validation. So you are validated. The scoreboard is clicks and purchases. It is nothing else. That people just thinking that you're cool or, oh my gosh, that's amazing because they're your friends. Like none of that matters. And that's where people really get narcissistic almost about their marketing, is they think, well, I like it. I'm really into this idea. Who really cares if you're into it? Like if the market doesn't like it, you're not gonna be around very long. So what I get very excited about is the market's reaction to what we do. And so when people are coming to us at wild numbers, and we haven't had to do an outbound call in 10 years, when we have all of that, and I don't have to go anywhere for meetings or go to network meetings, which I hate. All of that, when we don't have to do any of that because the market just searches for us and they find us and then they come to us at really good numbers, like that means something we're offering is resonating. And sometimes it's even hard to know exactly what it is, but I think that's more fun to figure out than to try to go, oh, my mom really thinks I'm great. Like obviously she does. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that people look for validation in the wrong spaces. I even think to go even further with that, maybe not asking like more interpersonal relationships like of family and people in your life, but I think also um a lot of people look for validation from other professionals that wouldn't need their service.
Yeah.
Like adjacent communities that, maybe do the same thing that
Good.
you do or whatever, that don't believe in your product or whatever it may be. Um, and I think that is something that people need to get out of their headspace too. Like, oh, that you're maybe or even the competitiveness of all of it, of that, oh, I need to be doing better than this person that's doing something similar to me or whatever it may be. It's like, yes, it's a competition to a level if you're doing the same exact thing as someone else or doing something similar, and there's only so many of them. Marketing is very different than that, isn't the fact that there is so many marketing agencies out there. I think there's like hundreds of thousands in the US
Yeah.
at this point in time. Um, that competitive wise is not really something that I think people should really worry about. But I understand if your industry is more niche and you do have competition that directly affects your clientele. But I think people outside of that are looking for validation from other professionals that don't really care about your best interest. That they just see a startup and they think, oh, well, what is the statistic of how many startups don't, make it or whatever it may be. I'm sure I've heard a bunch of stories of um my my bosses being told or discouraged about, what they're doing from other professionals that have already made it that are not doing as well as we are now. And
Yeah.
that happens all the time. And I think that considering, if you think you have a good idea and you know your worth and what it's going to become, obviously take feedback. Take feedback. The most important group to take feedback from is the people that need your product. And,
Yeah.
you don't even have to consider anyone else. You really don't. Um,
No, honestly, I don't even know who my competitors are, to be honest. I have no
That's
clue.
good.
People will ask me, have you ever heard? No, nope, have no idea. Like
Good.
I don't really care what they're doing. I genuinely don't ever think about it. Like, and I think it's already a form of insecurity. Just let's use the dating analogy. The moment you're looking at like, oh, I look better than that guy,
Mhm.
she's got to like me because I look better than that guy. Like you're using the wrong standard. You're either trying to find the lowest common denominator to make yourself feel better, or you feel insecure because you're looking at somebody and you think they're better. So I don't really know what there is to gain in that whole deal by thinking about other people or being obsessed with your competition. I never have seen really any value out of it.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I don't really understand it either, and I think that it's it shows a lot more and a lot a lot better on you to not have to think about it because that means that you're doing well. If you're not thinking about your competitors, you don't have to. That means you're doing great. You know?
Well, yeah, and I honestly, I would, like I said, I'd argue that I don't think anybody has to.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I actually don't think anybody needs to, and I think it's a huge distraction to do it. I just don't. I've never seen any value in it. Um, and yeah, I would just say somebody's going to have to show me like what have they really gained from looking at somebody else? Like I don't know, looking over your shoulder while you're running a race is not a great thing to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with
Yeah.
that. It's just like it
Might
feels
be
very
idealistic, but I don't know. I
no,
don't think.
I
Yeah.
think you're really right. I think, some people can't help it, but I also think that um no, you're 100% correct that I don't see a positive side to it because like what do you get out of
Yeah.
keeping up with your competitor if you could focus that energy on other fruitful endeavors, you know?
Well, you can also very easily just go, oh, well, we're doing better than them. So, like, and then you're not innovating anymore. I think that's what happens to big companies is they kind of
Mm,
just stop innovating because, like, I think if I looked at my competitors, I'd probably take my foot off the gas a little bit. Like, I really do. I think I would be kind of like, well, nobody's doing what we're doing. We're
mm,
good. We're good. Like,
we could just stay
um,
here and stay stagnant.
yeah, like, why are we even doing this free class? Nobody's doing it, is what I've been told is that nobody's doing it. I haven't really looked, but, so like but I wanted to do it because I wanted to do it for our people. I really thought that it would benefit them, so I feel like I'm more obsessed with the user and that's how we are when we design an app is we're very obsessed with what does the user really want and how do we just like provide so much value that the price seems absurd. That's really what I love to hear. Like, is that it? Like that, like,
Mhm.
yeah, the price, and we're considering it like we're premium, but because we're offering so much value, and it also makes, I love what Alex Hermosi, it's really hard to compare you to other things when you are just pouring on so much value. They have a hard time comparing you against it. He calls it Grand Slam offer. It's really, really hard to compare you to anything else. And I love that. I love people just going, we don't really know how to compare you to anything because we just haven't seen anything like, you know. Um, so I think that's a better perspective instead of going, hey, let's be like all these other folks doing the same thing we're doing. Yeah.
No, that's completely true, and it's even you can even put that back to dating.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
all
every
there.
girl wants to be with a guy that just thinks he's a little bit better than all the other guys, right? Like that's super attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly,
Yeah.
Funny.
I teach a concept called hot girl in the bar for people who are trying to raise money for investors. And I would say you got to be the hot girl at the bar where everybody wants to come up and talk to you. She's not chasing down dudes. She's just sitting there going, I'm awesome. Come to me, ask me for my phone number. And when I go to investor events, it's kind of the same thing. Um, I never tell anybody about me unless they ask. Like I'm constantly always like, what are you doing? What are you into? Like really don't be focused on yourself. Be focused on them. If you're asking like 80% of the questions and they're doing 80% of the return talking, then they are basically feeling good because they are talking about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. So if you're asking a lot of questions, then they're like, oh my gosh, whatever that feeling was I had talking to that guy, I want that again. And they're like, okay, give me your phone number. I want to talk to you more. And I have had more VCs chase me down after meetings where I didn't even ask for their phone number because they wanted to meet with me after. And we've raised a lot of money in the last, 10 years. And I think that mentality is why it's worked. It's just stop being so self-focused, and that it's funny when you're just like the value economy is like, go provide so much value that people just want to work with you, period.
Mhm. Like, make it seem also almost unreal that
Yeah.
can provide that much for them. So they're just, they'll always come out happy.
Yeah.
And they'll seek you out.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, I think that this is a perfect note to end on since we are out of time,
Great.
unfortunately. But thank you so
So
much. I
fast.
really appreciate this, and I've learned a lot. I hope that I never stop saying that. This is my
Oh
favorite
yeah.
too. But thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation, and I think that our audience and me have gotten a lot out of this. So it's an incredible conversation to have. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shannon. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And I also know that when I don't get through all my questions, that it's a good conversation. So that's
Good.
But yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching or listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to see more of this. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.